The moment the announcement echoed to the metallic halls of the Galactic Unified Academy, silence followed. Not confusion, not panic, just silence. The eerie kind that precedes something dramatic. A hologram of Chancellor XYN floated in the air above every lecture hall and corridor. His narrow, blue-scale face was taut with imperial authority. "Effective immediately," he declared, voice booming. "The use of food replicators is hereby prohibited within Academy grounds due to recent energy reallocations. Students are expected to find alternative nutritional sources approved by their respective species' health ministries." Students groaned across the galaxy. Nutritional planning was now their responsibility, a task none had ever done, not even the Cephalexians who prided themselves on cognitive superiority. After all, the entire Galactic Academy was built on efficiency, and nothing screamed efficiency like a replicator that could conjure a 4-course meal at molecular perfection in seconds. But there was one exception to the groaning. Human Cadet Arya Wren merely shrugged, because while the rest of the Academy saw this as a crisis, Arya saw it as Tuesday. No food replicators? Fine, let the bugs and roots rise. Arya's quarters had always been considered a bit peculiar. There was a smell of earth and dried wood in her room. Not unpleasant, just alien to sterile galactic norms. She kept a small green tank by the corner filled with crawling things she fed plant waste. A dehydrator buzzed quietly in the back. And now, with the replicators gone, her weird room had become the most visited space on level 19 Zeta. It started when her roommate, a translucent Myraxian named Cleo, stumbled in 2 days after ban, gaunt and twitching. "What is that smell?" It's not synthetic," Cleo hissed, pupils dilated. Arya lifted a crunchy bar wrapped in a biodegradable leaf, took a bite, and smiled. Cricket protein, mixed with starchy tuber flour, dried seaweed, and a dash of alien chili pepper I traded for from the Lixarian students last semester. Cleo looked horrified. "You eat the bugs?" Arya looked her dead in the eye and said, "You drink liquefied algae fermented in your own bodily excretions, remember?" Cleo blinked. Fair. Cleo ate the bar, then begged for more. That was how it began. 3 days later, there was a line outside Arya's room. Chlorathians, Tauline Draxii, all species that had grown soft on replicator convenience, now huddled around the humans' quarters, trading trinkets and study notes for what Arya had begun calling Renergy bars. She didn't ask for credits. She asked for ingredients. From that first bar, she adapted the recipe for different species. Chlorathians couldn't tolerate spicy roots, so she made them a beetle nectar variant. The Draxii were nitrogen breathers and needed compounds sourced from cave fungi, a challenge, but not impossible once she hacked the Academy's guarding bay for resources. Rumors spread quickly. The human's food doesn't just satisfy hunger, it energizes your core systems. Some claim to feel stronger after eating them. And while that wasn't quite true, Arya didn't correct them. After all, perception was everything. Naturally, the popularity triggered scrutiny. Dean Vrass, a hulking Corn with 3 independently blinking eyes and a distaste for chaos, summoned Arya to his office. The walls were lined with crystalline datasheets, each one pulsing with reports, disciplinary records, and resource logs. "You are distributing unregulated consumables on Academy property," he grunted. "I'm feeding starving students," Arya replied calmly. "With insects," Vrass spat, "which are more sustainable than your replicator grid ever was." Vrass shifted uncomfortably, clearly unused to being challenged by a species he still considered a galactic rookie. "This Academy maintains nutritional protocols. Yours are feral." Arya's lips twitched. "Tell that to the Chlorathian chess team. They won 2 tournaments since switching to my feral protein bars. Their sleep cycles improved, aggression decreased, and concentration levels are up 13%, according to performance logs." Vrass blinked all 3 eyes. She continued, "I've filed my full nutritional breakdowns. Each bar is within Galactic Health Directive thresholds. You can check the log." Vrass did. There was stamped, filed, and already peer-reviewed by 3 off-world biologists. One even added a footnote. Impressive adaptability. Would recommend for deep space missions. She stood. "If you wanted to stop, You'll have to explain to the Academy why you shut down the only functioning food system we've got." Rast growled low but said nothing. Arya walked out with a smirk. By week 2, she was no longer curiosity. She was a legend. The Academy, starved of its lazy luxury, had turned to something ancient, something primal. Community. Groups began foraging through botanical gardens, asking Arya's advice on fermenting alien fruit. She held workshops on preparing survival rations. The previously segregated dormitories started mixing. Species that had never spoken began cooking together. Arguments over spices led to diplomacy. Shared hunger turned to shared stories. And Arya, she thrived. Her father had raised her on Earth in the Appalachians. No replicators, no auto chefs, just an old-fashioned survivalist lifestyle. Hunting, foraging, cooking with fire. The galaxy thought humans were dangerous because of their weapons, but they hadn't yet realized the true danger was adaptability. It all came to a head during the mid-semester games. Held every cycle, the games were a test of stamina, intellect, and coordination. Normally, the top spots were taken by the genetically enhanced Valari or the speed-hacked Telmari. But this year, humans swept 3 of the 6 events. Arya placed first in the endurance climb, outlasting 2 Telmari, who collapsed halfway up. Human cadet Malik dominated the cognitive maze, citing clearer thinking, no replicator sugar fog. And a third human, Cynthia Reyes, smashed the obstacle course after fueling up on Arya's now infamous chili chitin chew bars. That caught the Council's attention, not just Academy leadership, the actual Galactic Council, because humanity wasn't just surviving the replicator ban. They were dominating. Soon, every species wanted Arya's recipes. Requests poured in for food systems that didn't rely on technology. Deep space colonies asked for instruction manuals. Military officers wanted her bars for special ops units. Even Chancellor XYN, the very one who banned the replicators, sent a private message. Would you consider joining the Galactic Nutritional Research Division after graduation? She ignored it. Her mission had grown larger than just feeding hungry cadets. She wanted to teach the galaxy how to fend for itself. That's when the sabotage happened. One night, her room went dark. Her insect tanks were shattered. The dehydrator was crushed. All her stored ingredients, her notes, even the fermentation jars, gone. No one claimed responsibility. But Arya had her suspicions. Several species felt threatened. The replicator corporations were hemorrhaging influence. Power didn't like disruption. Cleo found her kneeling in the wreckage, hands clenched into fists. "They destroyed everything," she whispered. Cleo's eyes shimmered. "Not everything. They forgot the most dangerous part." "What?" "You." Within a week, her operation was back, this time underground. They moved to unused cargo bays. Students brought materials in secret. Lighting was rigged from spare maintenance drones. They called it the root cellar. And in that hidden space beneath the Academy's floors, Arya taught, not just how to make food, but how to live without being told how to analyze the nutrients in alien plants, how to breed insects that adapted to different atmospheres, how to cook over heat stones when electricity failed. And they listened. Species who had relied on automation for centuries now crushed herbs with stone grinders. They grew moss under artificial moons. They cooked together, laughed together. She hadn't built a kitchen. She'd built a revolution. Months later, the replicator ban was lifted. No explanation given. Some said the energy crisis ended. Others whispered about political shifts. But it didn't matter, because by then, no one wanted the replicators anymore. They had real food, real friends, real strength. And Arya, she graduated top of her class, but didn't take the Council's offer. Instead, she disappeared into the stars, rumored to be training deep space colonies in sustainable survival. Her legacy spread like wildfire. Entire fleets carried her recipes. Planets re-wielded their ecosystems under her principles. And even the galactic military began field training based on the Wren Doctrine. The Academy eventually enshrined her old quarters. But she didn't need monuments, because across the galaxy, when disaster struck,
when systems failed, when ships crashed or colonies lost contact. One phrase echoed across frequencies. Don't worry, we've got Wren bars.